Hi everyone and welcome back to Micah's Traveling Adventures, and in today's video I will be sharing with you some pros, 2 cons, and also 2 areas of improvement that MSC can work on based off my most recent sailing with MSC Cruise Lines. So let's get started. So my mom and I took our very first MSC sailing at the beginning of the year, and it was on board the MSC Seashore departing out of Port Canaveral on January 29th, returning February 1st of 2026. So these sections are going to be a little rapid fire, so follow along. So the pros go something like this. The overall ship itself is number 1. The MSC Seashore is a beautiful ship, and it was, like I said, very beautiful, very big, very spacious feeling, and very bright and very clean feeling as well too. Number 2, the cleanliness of the ship. We were pleasantly surprised, and the crew did an amazing job. Number 3, the crew itself, they were very friendly and helpful, and they were able to answer all of our questions in a timely manner. Next is going to be our deluxe interior stateroom that we booked for our short 3-night sailing on board the MSC Seashore. And since this was our first time sailing with MSC, that I feel like that was the safer route for us to do, since granted this was our first sailing with MSC, and granted that we have sailed with Royal Caribbean more than MSC, we have a tendency to book all of our Royal Caribbean bookings in an interior cabin. So this sailing was no different, so we decided to stay on that same theme of staying in interior staterooms. Next is going to be the price for this last minute booking. Typically, we all know, for those who have cruised for a while, if you tend to book a last minute sailing, it has a tendency to be on the little bit more of a steep side. But with this sailing, we got a pretty good deal for our deluxe interior stateroom that we booked. And like I said, it wasn't, the cruise wasn't half bad at all, but you'll hear me mention a couple of pros, or I would say a couple of cons that we didn't quite feel was the best. So moving on with the pros. The next pro is going to be Ocean Cay Marine Reserve. I hate to say it, Royal Caribbean, but I like MSC's Ocean Cay Marine Reserve better than Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And Ocean Cay Marine Reserve reminded me of the early days of Coco Cay before Royal Caribbean made its royal amplifications to the island. And the last pro that on and for this section is going to be the gelato on board. You can find the gelato on deck 6 at Vinci Chocolate, as well as on deck 8 in the aft of the ship at the adults only pool deck on deck 8, and also on deck 16, which is in the jungle pool area next to the jungle bar. Now, moving on to the 2 cons. The first one is going to be the food and how it tasted in the main dining room and in the marketplace buffet, and also the in-house theater shows that was put on by the MSC singers and dancers. Honestly, the food kind of came across a little bit bland in the main dining room every night of the cruise, and it wasn't to our liking, and hence we kind of liked Royal Caribbean's food in the main dining room a little bit better. Granted, no cruise line is perfect, but I do have to say Royal Caribbean's food in the main dining room and the buffet were a little bit better. In the second half to part 1 of the cons is the marketplace buffet. It really felt very disjointed to both my mom and I, and we felt like we had to walk all over the place to try and find what you really wanted. And since we're early risers, when it came to the breakfast side of things, we were in the buffet at 6:30, and only the continental side was open, which had like your some sugary breakfast pastries, croissants, and that type stuff, and the rest didn't open up until like 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you're wanting like your eggs and bacon, that type stuff, your toast, you kind of had to wait 30 minutes. And the next con was the theater show, the in-house theater show that's put on by their singers and dancers that MSC has on board. it wasn't up our alley. So those are the two cons. And to round out everything, what are the two areas that can be improved on with MSC? It's going to be the same as the two cons I just mentioned, which is going to be the food and the in-house entertainment. So MSC, just make sure you just add a little bit more seasoning to your dishes that you have to offer on your dining room menu, as well as in the buffet, to help cater to your American clientele here in the United States. And also with the theater shows, make sure you come up with something that's a little bit easier to follow. My mom and I were scratching our heads, and it made it hard for us to understand what theme or where it was going when y'all had your wonderful singers and dancers perform. And granted, they are wonderfully talented, but make sure you come up with something that is more relatable for us, your American clientele. So I hope this helps you guys out, and thanks for joining me and coming with me as I shared my pros, cons, and improvements with MSC Cruise Lines. Have a great day.